I would like him to know information coming from me or coming from Jerry, from me, so that he finds out about the divorce filing or my intention to do so from some other source other than TMZ, which was alerted.
You let it slip out that TMZ had been alerted to your filing of the domestic violence restraining order, didn't you?
I disagree. That's not what I'm talking about.
TMZ is the same outlet that you released the video of Mr. Depp attacking the kitchen cabinets the day before this deposition was taken, wasn't it?
I didn't do that. I don't know how to do that.
TMZ owns the copyright to that video now, doesn't it?
I have no idea what TMZ owns.
Did they pay you for that?
I never got paid for it because I had nothing to do with that.
So TMZ was just lucky in getting the inside scoop to your divorce from Mr. Depp, huh?
I'm facing Amber. He comes up behind me, strikes me in the back, kind of just somewhere over here. He strikes me in the back. I hear Amber shout, "Don't hit my sister." She smacks him, lands one, and then he grabs, at that point, that's when Travis runs up the stairs.
Amber Heard allegedly struck her ex-girlfriend Tassa Van Ree at the airport in 2009. Did I read that right?
Yes, this is another example of the smear campaign.
So Mr. Depp is not the only domestic partner you've assaulted, is he, Ms. Heard?
I've never assaulted Mr. Depp or anyone else that I've been romantically linked to, ever.
Right, there are some of the things that happened last week. The fact is, Gerald, can we talk to you first? Because this is, I think people are forgetting what this is about. There was a case in London that was done. Johnny Depp lost this case. This has been heard in Virginia, which is the home of the Washington Post, where Amber had written an op-ed. Yeah. This is a libel trial.
It is, yeah. It's a civil case. I mean, interestingly enough, Johnny Depp sued the Sun newspaper in London when they described him as a wife-beater.
Yes.
That was before a judge. And after 16 days of evidence, the judge held that the Sun had substantially proved their case and believed that Johnny Depp was guilty of domestic abuse. He lost that case.
Yes.
And they refused him right of appeal. He then went to Fairfax in Virginia, which, as you said, is the home state of the head office for the Washington Post. And he's commenced civil proceedings there for defamation. This is before a jury of 7 people.
Yeah.
And all 7 must agree on the verdict. So, and it's very difficult because they've never had a trial like this in Virginia, let alone elsewhere. And you're talking about 7 people who are dealing with trained actors. Yeah. They're both trained actors and they're super rich, super wealthy. So therefore they will look on third-party evidence very carefully, one would assume, such as written statements, such as the evidence of Ellen Barkin, who was married to our own Gabriel Byrne for 11 years. Ellen gave evidence. At first she said they had a romantic relationship, and then she asked the court to correct that and say it was a sexual relationship where she slept with him 3 or 4 times a week for 6 months, when she said he was mostly drunk. And she also gave evidence that he threw a bottle of wine at her in one episode that occurred. So one would imagine that the jury are going to listen to this carefully because they're in a difficult position with 2 super wealthy, well-trained actors giving totally opposite evidence.
But it is one line that Amber Heard wrote an op-ed a few years ago, which said, in the op-ed, I became the poster child for domestic violence. And that is what he's saying. He was defamed.
Without naming him.
She never named him, but he's saying he was defamed by that.
And I think a jury, and I think, you know, it would, in my opinion, a jury will have no difficulty in finding that sentence related to Johnny Depp.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think that's the issue. But it's such an extraordinary volatile. I know they were together for years. They're only married for 15 months.
Yeah.
I mean, when you listen to the evidence, you think they're together for 20 years. Yeah. It is the most extraordinary volatile relationship. And what shocks me are 2 things, I suppose. Number one is the amount of recordings. It's almost like if they were coming for breakfast in the morning, one would say to the other, Johnny, will I make a coffee? Oh, hold on, I just turned on the recorder. I mean, it's like there's so much recorded. It's hard to believe. And secondly, where it's different than courts here or in Britain would be the joviality of some of the actions of both parties, where they're smiling and laughing. And certainly in defamation trials here, you would tell your client, you've got to be serious because this is a sincere, hurtful claim that you're taking, and you can't be seen to be waving and laughing and smiling.
And Jen, it is true that, like we're talking about it this morning, and there's lots of coverage on it, but at the bottom of this, it is about domestic abuse.
I think that's the thing, and I think, you know, a lot of people, it's a circus now, and it's entertainment, and it's treated as entertainment, and you see it on TikTok, you see it on Instagram, where people are doing, like Lance Bass, even from NSYNC, was doing a story where he was, like, miming Amber Heard's testimony, which is just really dark when you think about it. And I think people have lost the run of themselves because they're saying it's two celebrities, I'm a Johnny Depp fan, like treating it as if it's like something out of Marvel, oh, it's the baddies against the goodies. And it's like, these are real human people, and this is a very sad, it's a trial about drug addiction. It's about, you know, the nature of fame, where it's insidious, where like these things can be hidden for a very long time, because I don't think we actually realised the depth of Johnny Depp's actual addiction, or what mental state he has been in for this long period of time. And I think a lot that is coming out now is very disturbing. It should be disturbing to people.
Muireann, you've been following this, haven't you? You
I
know
was,
you have.
and then I had to
but
stop.
then, and I was saying, but I was talking to somebody last week about this, and they said, oh, he's coming out really well out of this. Are either of them coming out well out of this?
I don't think so. And I think people love Johnny Depp in a way. He has these very vehement fans that are almost obsessive, like Michael Jackson fans, who are defending every word that he says, because you're conflating characters with a human being who we don't know. We don't know anything really about him, but they think, oh, he's Captain Jack Sparrow, he's Edward Scissorhands, you know, he was my teen idol, so obviously he's not going to be a bad person. And I think that you really have to stand back and go, you're an adult now, you're not 9 years old watching somebody you think is cute on TV. You don't know this person, and that's where the kind of dichotomy lies. It's like these strange people just wanting him to be this white knight, or like be like his characters in a film, and he's not.
Yeah, the veil is certainly being lifted on the lives of the mega rich and the mega famous who we put on these pedestals. Again, this is about libel. It's not about technically who hit whom.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about sexual and domestic violence. That's not what's being ruled on here. Some of the stranger things that have happened. So obviously we're going into the final week of the trial. So what's happened leading up to this, Jenn?
I mean, like, we've had, I think, like, a lot of people were, as I said, on one side of Johnny Depp. And Johnny Depp has been so strange during this, as in, we were saying, like, he's laughing and joking a lot of the time, and talking about, there was this whole part about their dog pooping in the bed, and whether or not it was Amber Heard that actually did a poop in the bed. Yeah. That went on for a very long time. I thought it was protracted talk about poop. And then
it was, like, on the stand, it happened. A dog, I was like,
we were
they still talking
examining
about
this, like, and then you had things like, I mean, I think last week was a very important week for Amber Heard, because they had witness statements, and you had her makeup artist coming out saying that, you know, before she went on James Corden, because there was a lot of talk about, oh, she actually she doesn't have any facial injuries, she's obviously lying, but then she was talking about the process of hiding her, you know, bruises on her face and a split lip with makeup. And then you also had her sister, like, because a lot of it has been circumstantial, as in we've seen, maybe not seen stuff on her face or on her body, but this last week was more like, I saw him try and hit her, or I saw him charge at her. So I think it took a turn last week, and he's going to have to testify this week.
He's got back on the stand
today.
This week. And Gerald, on a legal point of view then, if you were representing either of these, how would you feel at the moment? Is somebody ahead? What do you think will happen?
Well, the difficulty is when you have a jury system, it's very volatile, so you really don't know.
Yeah.
I think both of them have come out of it really badly. I really do. I mean, when you think about situations like a severed finger, well, two people are looking around the room for the part of the finger that's missing, and he's in the bathroom using the blood to stain the mirror with messages, and with the blood and paint. Yeah. I mean, it's just extraordinary. Nobody's come out well in this case. And at the end of the day, there's no question, it's very hard to predict. I mean, even if you look at some of the well-known legal analysts in the States, some are saying there's going to be substantial punitive damages to the winner and substantial compensation. Others are saying it's going to be $1.
Right.
And each side bear its own costs.
And the judge decides that.
The jury will decide and the jury may in turn also decide on the level of compensation, unless the judge decides there should be an additional punitive damages claim, or he could direct the jury.
And could neither of them win this?
Neither of them could win it. I mean, a judge could turn around and say, listen, enough of this, I'm fine. Because it seems to me, from the evidence, from looking at the outside, both parties are guilty of abuse of actions towards the other.
Right.
That's what it seems to me.
Yeah.
And they don't come out well. And but with a jury, don't forget, as I said, you're dealing with 7 ordinary people in Fairfax, Virginia, who are up against trained actors and super rich and super wealthy. And I would hate to think that all the super rich and super wealthy have a 15-month marriage similar to this one. I mean, it seems extraordinary.
And do we know, because it was mentioned, you know, Kate Moss's name has come up, Ellen Barkin obviously had to give evidence, it's been talked about, Angelina Jolie, Paul Bettany, like Robert, all these names have come up. Why haven't they been called, Gerald? Do we know?
Well, I think there could be individual reasons for it as well. I mean, for example, if you've already convinced the jury that your client is or has been habitually addicted to drugs and drink, and it's very clear by their own evidence, then it may not be necessary to waste the court's time and bring a third party in to prove that. And don't forget, he's already accepted. I mean, this guy, Johnny Depp, was spending $100,000 a month on doctors and nurses to deal with his addiction. $300,000 a month for staff, and honeymooned on his island in the Bahamas. 7 ordinary people, postmen, milkmen from Fairfax, Virginia, are listening to all this. So it's difficult for a jury, but a jury is very volatile, as I keep saying. Your view, I've been involved in defamation all my life, but your view is better than mine. You know, it's not a legal issue, it's how they're coming across.